We have some exclusive breaking news on the Menendez front tonight. The former boy band member who says that Jose Menendez molested him when he was just a kid is now telling the Banfield show that it didn't only happen once. Yeah, I know. I had that response too. And by way of, conversation today, we invited Roy Rosello on this program, and his team told us he can't come on right now, but that more horror stories about Jose Menendez and Roy when he was just a young teen are going to be exposed very soon. Right. I mean, more. How could it get worse? Roy originally told his story to an author named Robert Rand in 2023. And he said that Jose Menendez molested him in a hotel room. And when he said it, it sounded like it might have only been that time. And I don't mean only. I mean, it might have been that one time, but not many times. His story appeared in the Peacock docuseries Menendez plus Menudo, Boys Betrayed. Take a look at this.
Yo no podía reaccionar porque eso me estaba tomando cuenta de mi cuerpo. Me drogaron. Y después de eso, yo amanecí en el hotel. ¿Cómo yo llegué al hotel? Yo no sé. Pero cuando yo fui al baño, I was bleeding. Y yo estuve una semana con un dolor terrible.
Now the author says that he and Roy Rosello are in talks for a season 2 of that docuseries. Because since that interview, Rosello has told Rand and his team that he was assaulted a number of times over several years and in different cities and in different countries. Rosello is also speaking out against Los Angeles DA Nathan Hochman, who last month called the sex abuse claims by Lyle and Eric Menendez, quote, untrustworthy. Rosello says, quote, for him, it's untrustworthy, but for me, it is. I was there, and it was not only once. DA Hochman also said that the claims made by Rosello were, quote, inadmissible in Lyle and Eric's bid for a retrial. Rosello hit back, accusing the DA of trying to, quote, cover the mistakes of the past. Chief among them, not accepting that, quote, men and boys are abused as well. Joining me now is the author who brought Roy Rosello's story to light. Robert Rand is an award-winning journalist who wrote the book The Menendez Murders and executive produced the docuseries Menendez plus Menudo, Boys Betrayed. Robert Rand, I was floored by this news today from Rosello's team that he can't talk to you now, but wait for it because a lot of big stories about Jose Menendez doing more and worse to Roy are about to come out. Do you know more about this?
I do. The reason that Roy Rosello can't tell everything he knows right now is because he may be a witness in the habeas corpus petition hearings if Judge William Ryan decides that he wants to hold hearings with witnesses to more closely examine this evidence. And Roy has told me that, in the documentary, the Menendez Menudo Boys Betrayed documentary on Peacock, Roy only told us about one time that he was sexually assaulted by Jose Menendez. And since that documentary, he talked about another time where he was assaulted by Menendez before and after a concert at Radio City Music Hall in an affidavit that's part of the habeas. And since then, he's shared with me that these assaults went on for several years in many different places around the world.
Was it a regular modus operandi? Was it random? Like what specifically was Jose Menendez allegedly doing in these other instances? And I don't mean specific to the assault itself, but just making sure these attacks could happen.
Well, one thing that happened was that Jose Menendez went on tour with Menudo for 3 weeks in Brazil in the fall of 1985. And that's very unusual. I've learned through other people in the music business, the head of a major record label never goes on tour with one act for more than 1 or 2 nights. And during this 3 weeks that Jose Menendez was part of the tour, the members of Menudo were being dressed in drag and makeup after the shows. They were given drugs and alcohol. And if you were a friend of Edgardo Diaz, the creator and manager of Menudo, you were allowed to pick your favorite member of the band and take them back to your room. So there's a lot that went on during that tour, and that's just one tour for 3 weeks.
I mean, just the notion of what you're saying, it's unfathomable. And Robert, do we know if any of the other members of Menudo plan to come forward, if they have similar stories, or if they have similar stories and they don't want to come forward? What have you been able to find out?
We had a team of investigative reporters that was working on this documentary, and we know we've obviously focused in on all of the members of Menudo when they were when Jose Menendez was head of RCA Records, and we've spoken to most of them off the record. It's very difficult for a sexual abuse survivor to come forward and reveal this secret. Many people take these secrets to their graves, and Roy Rosello is a hero for coming forward. And you know, I was at the news conference with D.A. Hockman on February 21st, and his dismissal of the Menudo evidence was really a slap in the face to sexual abuse survivors everywhere. And I was very encouraged when 5 days after Hockman's news conference, Governor Gavin Newsom came forward and said, you know, we need to do a risk assessment about the Menendez brothers, determine if they would be a risk to the people of California if they are released. And I think that's extremely encouraging. And here we are. This week is the 35th anniversary of when Eric and Lyle Menendez were arrested and charged.
Right.
And
you know,
there's new hope.
I'll tell you what, Robert. I understand what D.A. Hockman was doing, and it's a legal thing only. It's not about I don't care about Roy Rosello. It's more just about the legal defense and the technicality of what self-defense requires, not something that he may very well believe, Roy Rosello. He may very well believe Lionel and Eric were molested by their father, but then it gets right to the moment of the murders and whether self-defense in that moment. And that's where I understand what Hockman was saying. But I want you to tell me something else that I found shocking. The way you landed upon this story in the first place was that you interviewed Jose Menendez's, was it personal assistant? And that
Yes.
person revealed something kind of astounding, especially in light of what we're knowing now, that this was a repeated crime.
So back in the spring of '93, just before the first Menendez trial, I interviewed an elderly man named John Peduto, who was Jose Menendez's personal assistant at Hertz and RCA Records. And every conversation I had with him, he kept bringing up that Jose was obsessed with the boy band Menudo and the singer Ricky Martin. And so the first couple times it just blew by me. And when he brought it up the third, fourth, and fifth time, I thought there has to be something going on here. And that's what started me on the investigation of Menudo back in 1993.
You should get a Pulitzer for this, the amount of information that you've uncovered and the effect that it could have on this case. Honestly, maybe not on habeas, but I think on just the public perception and how that plays into potential politics, which plays into, as we all know, what happens in the governor's office, what happens in the DA's office. Robert Rand, come back soon, please.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.